Unlock the secrets, silence your mind, access deep meditation. Yogananda's hidden truths revealed. In the dim light of dawn, a figure cloaked in shadows danced on the edge of the unknown. Whispers mingled with the chill air, tales of a hidden truth buried deep within the teachings of Yogananda, a name that echoed through time, drawing seekers to the promise of enlightenment. Some said it was a path to untold peace, while others warned of the dangers that lay in wait for those bold enough to tread. Every legend held a thread of truth, and in the world of spirituality, uncertainty was as thick as the fog rolling over the hills. But why was his legacy shrouded in mystery? Was it mere curiosity or something more sinister? Unearthly experiences unfolded before the eyes of those who ventured into meditation, where strange visions would erupt, twisting reality like a pretzel. People reported seeing colors brighter than any sunset, with shapes that surged and retreated, beckoning them closer. A sinister chill would seep into their bones, yet the allure of knowledge surged like wildfire. What if there was a deeper layer hidden in plain sight, a truth so potent that it could reshape lives and challenge the very essence of existence? Then came the tales of the seekers, those who ventured too far, their minds racing as the boundaries of space and time collapsed into a swirling vortex. What had once been stillness became a battlefield of thoughts. Shuddering silences shattered by cries of ecstasy or despair. Many emerged changed forever, their eyes reflecting unfamiliar depths, their souls burdened with understanding. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect, but the deeper you dive, the more the surface begins to crack. One seeker, determined to pull back the curtain, stumbled upon an ancient script hidden in the crevice of a forgotten temple. It glowed with an eerie luminescence, and the air turned electric the moment he laid eyes on it. Was it the key to unlocking the greatest secret of all? As he traced the delicate symbols, his heart raced, an overwhelming surge of energy coursed through him. The temple itself seemed to breathe, pulsating in anticipation. Suddenly, the walls whispered back, rattling the very core of his being. What awaited him next? Was he ready for the truth, or would the unknown consume him whole? As the shadows danced, one question lingered in the air: could he silence his mind long enough to grasp what lay beyond the veil? The moment his fingers brushed against the script, the world around him shifted like dry leaves skittering across a hot pavement. A jolt of energy sent shockwaves through his body, electrifying every nerve ending. He gasped, his breath caught in a tangled web of wonder and fear. Did he truly want to unveil the depths of this secret? The temple's walls shimmered, casting eerie shadows that danced to an unseen rhythm. The whispers grew louder, swirling around him, wrapping him in a cacophony of urgent voices. You seek the truth? The truth seeks you. They echoed through the cavernous space, mixing with the racing beats of his heart. A cold sweat coated his brow. Thoughts of what lay ahead pounded against the walls of his mind. Visions began to flood his consciousness, images of faces twisted in fear, joy, ecstasy, and agony, all blurring into a storm of emotion. Were these the seekers who had come before him? The warning flashed through his thoughts, and he pressed his palms against his temples, willing the chaos to retreat. Focus! He urged himself. The words felt weak against the tempest swirling inside, yet, the glowing script remained alluring. Something about its soft light called to him, promising secrets that transcended mere understanding. His pulse quickened with anticipation, and he dared to step closer, blocking the noise, submerging himself in the light. The air shimmered around him, dense like honey, heavy with unspoken truths. With every passing second, the atmosphere thickened. Time slipped away as he felt the weight of the universe held in that fragile moment. As the symbols began to rearrange themselves in his vision, he realized they weren't just letters, they were portals. Portals to experiences beyond anything he had ever known. Are you prepared to understand? A voice boomed from within the temple, deep and resonant, shaking the very foundation he stood upon. It was not spoken, it was felt, reverberating through his bones. His instincts screamed yes, but doubt crept like a vine, twisting around his courage. He closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, and lost himself in the depths of his yearning. But just below the surface lay a creeping dread. What if he was not meant to unlock these secrets? What if understanding brought a price higher than he could afford? Suddenly, a blast of cold air swept through the chamber, extinguishing the luminescent glow for a heartbeat. Darkness enveloped him, the whispers silencing, replaced by a relentless pounding in his ears. Panic surged within him as he fought against the suffocating void. Just when he thought he would be swallowed whole, a flash of brilliant light surged from the script, illuminating the chamber again, revealing a figure standing in the shadows, a reflection of himself, but distorted, grotesque. It smiled with knowing eyes, as if it held all the answers and the worst nightmares combined. "Are you ready to face yourself?" It taunted, its voice dripping with anticipation. With his heart racing and breath hitching in his throat, he knew that the moment of truth had arrived. Facing himself, was that really part of the journey? Was this truth worth his sanity, his very soul? As the very fabric of the temple vibrated with raw potential, he knew he stood at a precipice, teetering on the edge between enlightenment and devastation. Could he silence his mind long enough to confront his deepest fears, or would he be engulfed in the very shadows he sought to illuminate? A choice loomed before him, but what lay beyond it? Would he step forward or retreat? The answer lingered in the air, charged with cosmic energy, and time was running out. The grotesque figure's grin widened, cracks forming at the corners of its mouth as it moved closer, the shadows twisting around it like dark tendrils. Panic clawed at his throat. He fought to suppress the urge to flee, but something deeper anchored him to the spot. That reflection wasn't just a nightmare, it was a part of him. "What are you?" he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. "I am your truth," it replied, the words slithering through the air. "All that you hide, all that you deny, I represent your fears, your unfulfilled desires, and your regrets." Each word was a dagger, thrusting deeper into his psyche, exposing the veins of his darkest thoughts. He was losing control, and the walls of the temple seemed to press around him, suffocating. The floor beneath his feet felt alive, pulsating with an energy he couldn't comprehend. The whispers returned, relentless, their urgent tones clawing at his sanity. "Face it. You cannot escape," they cried. He fought to steady his trembling hands, clenching his fists until the nails dug into his palms. "No. I am not afraid." But even as he protested, uncertainty coiled inside him like a serpent. "Are you sure?" The distorted version of himself flicked its gaze to the script. "All the answers you seek lie within. If you dare to unravel the facade, you must confront me." His heart thundered in his chest. Each beat pounded against the stone walls, echoing a war drum urging him forward. An overwhelming sense of betrayal washed over him. How could he face what he didn't even understand? But then, a flicker of rebellion ignited within. "Show me!" he shouted, the words engulfed by the echoes of the chamber. Anger and courage swirled inside him. "Show me what I'm afraid of." The reflection paused, its grin faltering for just a heartbeat. Then, it nodded, and the air electric with anticipation shimmered. Suddenly, the essence of the temple shifted, walls melting away as new scenes erupted around him. He found himself surrounded by swirling memories, moments he thought he had locked away forever, a childhood home filled with laughter that morphed into a funeral hall of sorrow. Friends' faces flashed, distorting from joy to anguish, then back again. He staggered back, eyes wide. "No. I didn't mean to remember?" The figure coaxed. "You run from these truths, but they bind you stronger than any chain." Pain shot through him as the faces turned accusatory. He choked on his breath, emotions swirled like a cyclone. "No. Stop." He raised his hands to shield himself, but it was too late. The whirlwind of memories tore through him, exposing the fears and losses he had buried deep within. Then silence fell. The echoes faded. Peace settled heavily, making room for an awareness he couldn't escape. "I can't do this," he stammered. The grotesque vision shifted again, swirling as if caught within a vortex, becoming something more human, more recognizable. It was him, a self stripped bare of the masks he wore. "You can't hide from yourself forever. What is your choice?" A long moment of stillness stretched, each second an eternity. The weight of the unspoken choice pressed upon him, stinging like the chill in the air. The face in the shadows was no longer grotesque, it was a reflection of what he could become if he faced the truths he had hidden, and then a rumble surged through the temple, shaking the ground beneath his feet, roaring like a beast awakened. Choose now. With his heart racing faster than ever and the air thickening around him, he took a step forward. What lay ahead could be liberation or a descent into darkness, an end of one journey or the beginning of another. What choice would he make in that moment of reckoning? Would he embrace the truth, whatever it may be, or would he allow fear to swallow him whole? The temple trembled underfoot, responding to his growing intensity. He felt it, an oppressive force pushing against him from all sides as if the very walls wanted to swallow him whole. The air was thick with the weight of unvoiced secrets, clinging to his skin like sweat in the summer heat. Choose. The figure urged again, its voice sharper now, slicing through the chaos of his mind. What will it be? Will you confront your truth or retreat back into the shadows? Each heartbeat echoed in his chest, the thumping loud like a war drum calling for battle. He narrowed his eyes at the reflection, searching for any sign of weakness. But it stared back, unwavering and resolute, the death mask of his own introspection. Memories flashed, past failures, lost friendships, dreams abandoned. It felt like a tightrope walk between his past and the suffocating present, and for a moment, he wavered. Do it! The command slashed through the fog of his uncertainty. He clenched his fists harder, squeezing until his knuckles almost turned white. I can't keep running. With that declaration, the reality around him warped and churned. The temple's solid structure twisted, revealing a new scene like a poorly cut film, moments of triumph entwined with those of despair. Suddenly, he was standing on a precipice overlooking a vast lake. The water shimmered yet felt like a trap, whispering of calmness but concealing depths that could drown. Your memories, your fears await beneath the surface, the figure said, its tone a barely veiled mockery. Will you dive in and face what lies underneath? The ground shook again, this time with urgency. He staggered, the fear clawing at his insides, a visceral knot tightening his stomach. How could he plunge into that darkness? What if it swallowed him whole? But the question resonated, echoing through his skull, was it better to drown or live forever shackled by his own blackness? And then, suddenly, the clarity washed over him like cold water splashed on his face. He remembered the times he had fought back against the tide, the moments he faced rejection, embraced grief, or simply chose to rise when all seemed lost. Strength surged through his veins. Bring it on! He shouted, surprising even himself with the ferocity of his own voice. I am ready to confront what you believe I want to hide. Show me. The figure's grin widened unsettlingly, like the gaping maw of a creature about to devour him. The air crackled as darkness seeped from its form, swirling around him like woven shadows. It felt alive, hungry. Then we shall begin, it hissed, and the sky above erupted, clouds rolling back like a theater curtain. Below him, the waters roiled, reflecting not just his face, but countless faces from his past, people he had loved, hurt, and lost. With a deep breath that filled his lungs to bursting, he plunged forward, feet leaving the ground. Weightless, he descended into the uncertain abyss, ready to face the truth that awaited him in its murky depths. As he broke through the surface, biting cold water enveloped him. The darkness was thicker and heavier than he imagined, wrapping around him like a shroud, pulling at his limbs. What awaited in the depths? Would he emerge victorious, or would the shadows claim him forever? The truth loomed just out of sight, and he could feel its power thrumming beneath his skin. Sudden panic gripped him. What if he was wrong? What if the truth twisted like a knife, ripping him apart from the inside? And just as he began to struggle, a shape emerged in the distance, beckoning him closer as if it held all the answers he so desperately sought. Was this liberation or doom? He pushed forward, each stroke battling against the fear clawing at his heart, the choice yet still echoing in his mind. What lay ahead could change everything. As he swam toward the figure, the water morphed, swirling around him like a tempest. It was a strange paradox. Every stroke forward felt like he was being pulled deeper, tangled by the weight of unresolved pain. The shape became clearer, revealing features he knew too well. It was her. His mother. Her smile was warm, yet edged with an indescribable sadness. Anxiety gripped his heart. Was this a memory or a twisted reflection? Why have you come? He called out, the words swallowed by the churning water. Because you're ready, she whispered, her voice like the softest lullaby, yet it echoed against the icy water. You've run long enough. Images flashed around him, memories surfacing as bubbles: childhood laughter, moments of love, and the sting of deceit. The hard truth hung in the air, unsaid and raw. She reached out, her hand shimmering like light through darkness. Your struggle comes from within. Look deeper. Panting in the suffocating depths, confusion crashed over him. Why did he hesitate? The truth he sought glimmered just out of reach, an enticing promise wrapped in his past. With every stroke, layers of fear peeled back, revealing heartache he buried away, words left unsaid, apologies never spoken. The lake twisted, a kaleidoscope of colors morphing into faces he'd known. Friends, mentors, the strangers he'd hurt. They loomed around him like shadows, their eyes pleading for recognition. Each face was a mirror of himself, making him question who was he in their story? I can't, he gasped, the water tightening around him, as if it sensed his doubt and sought to drag him down. You can and you will, her voice thrummed through the chaotic waves, urging him on. Face the darkness, son. It's what you've avoided for too long. He sought his reflection again, wide, terrified eyes staring back from the water's depths. The pulling sensation grew stronger, and panic clutched at his chest. Was he ready to accept the truths he'd buried? The guilt, the shame? With a surge of resolve, he pushed forward, desperately grasping for her hand, for comfort, for strength, but as his fingers brushed against hers, the warmth faded. She began to dissolve like mist in the air, replaced by shadows. Now they danced maliciously around him, whispering doubts and fears. You'll never be good enough, you'll always be alone. No! He yelled, but the sound was swallowed by the dark embrace of the water. He was losing her, losing himself in despair. Yet beneath the current, another pulse throbbed, a flicker of hope. It surged up through him, igniting his spirit. I'm not afraid. He shouted, and with renewed strength, he lunged forward again. But the figure in the distance shifted, becoming distorted, a grotesque version of his mother, tainted by regret. Face what you've hidden. It taunted, fingers stretching toward him as the abyss yawned wide. Was this the truth he sought? Was he meant to confront it here? Dread seeped into his bones, but he knew he had to press on, to embrace the truth without turning away. With horror and determination, he dove down, focusing on the figure that loomed just below the surface, pulling him into the darkness. What awaited him in that void? Would he lose himself forever or finally discover the power locked away inside him? The urgency propelled him deeper as the darkness thickened, suffocating but promising revelation. What lay ahead could sever the ties binding him to his past or swallow him whole. The moment he plunged into that abyss, everything shifted. Black swallowed him whole. The cold gripped him tighter, squeezing out the breath from his lungs. Fear clawed at him, but deeper within, an ember flickered, urging him on. As he sank, he realized the shadows weren't merely threats. They were fragments of himself, haunting echoes that had amassed in this watery prison. What do you want? He screamed, but the question felt futile in the deafening silence. And then he heard it, like a whisper rising from the depths, spiraling through the silence. You know what you've buried, but will you face it? Images erupted around him, each one more vivid and raw. He saw his 10-year-old self at the birthday party, eyes brimming with hope. Then, a shift, the laughter turned cruel, like a swarm of bees. A boy had tripped, fallen, and he had laughed. In that moment, the seeds of guilt he'd ignored for years took root. It was a joke. He shouted at the flickering image. They didn't care. But the scene morphed again, this time to his teenage years. A friend in need, crying on his shoulder, begging for help. He brushed it off, thinking it was just drama. Not my responsibility, he muttered, but the shadows loomed closer, thickening with disapproval. Suddenly the figure of his mother re-emerged, distorted yet familiar. Her eyes glinted with something fearful. You cannot escape them. Not now, she said, her voice a ghostly echo. I'm trying. He yelled, rage bubbling within him. I'm trying to remember. Remember who you are, she replied, the shadows swirling around her like a whirlpool. And eliminate their hold over you. He felt her hand reaching out again, but it flickered like a candle flame. In that moment, anguish replaced anger. You left me, he said. You abandoned me. The accusation rolled off his tongue, heavy like stone. The figure trembled, becoming more transparent. I loved you, but you chose to forget. You pushed me away. Why? Why did you let me? He clawed at the water, feeling his despair bubble over. Your choices led you here, she warned, voice faltering. To see the truth. And then, like a dam breaking, the memories poured in. The fights he shunned, the words of love he never said, the tears he could have wiped away. Each was a wave crashing into him, dragging him further into the darkness. No more. He screamed, thrashing against the water. I will not be beaten down by this. I will fight it. That defiance ignited a spark, the hope within him flared brighter. This time, instead of sinking in despair, he began to rise. He fought against the stream of memories, pushing through the darkness. Each emotion was a weight, but now it was also a source of power. The shadows shrieked, losing their grip as he swam upward with renewed strength. As he broke through the surface, gasping for air, the waters began to calm. Light permeated the gloom, revealing the past more clearly. Yet, even as he regained his breath, he felt the shadows lurking just out of reach, waiting for him to falter. Was this enough? He wondered. Had he truly faced his fears, or was it merely the beginning? The question lingered in his mind, heavy and unrelenting. Behind him, the depth stirred like a beast awakening. What more would it demand? And as he treaded the surface, he knew one thing: this battle was far from over. The silence enveloped him, almost soothing. He floated, heaving, as shards of light broke through the water, illuminating fragments of his psyche. He wanted to grab hold of them, keep them safe. But the shadows lingered, just out of sight, whispering reminders of what he hadn't faced. With each breath, the weight of regret pressed down harder. He shut his eyes, but the images flooded back his father's disappointed gaze, the night spent alone, pretending happiness was a choice. Enough, he gritted out. I'm not letting you drag me back. The shadows flickered, almost mocking him now. Their whispers turned sharper, slicing through the serenity he struggled to maintain. They echoed his fears and failures, each sound a reminder of what he wished he could erase. You think you can escape? They laughed, voices twining together in a dreadful chorus. He uncoiled like a spring, bursting to the surface again, forcing the air into his lungs. The brightness was blinding now, cutting through the murky water that had clung to him moments before. Keep moving, he urged himself. Keep going. Flailing, he propelled himself toward the nearest glimmer. Each stroke was a battle, a confrontation with the guilt that flared with every splash. He lunged forward, determination turning into desperation, as he reached for a shadow suspended in the light, but as he touched it, pain ripped through him. It was a memory, a suffocating moment when he had chosen indifference over bravery. He saw the boy from earlier, the one who had tripped, sitting alone at lunch, his head down. The laughter had faded, but the loneliness echoed loudly in his mind. I should have helped him, he gasped, the bubbles of his breath bursting in frustration. But I didn't. I just stood by. The pain twisted inside, a knot that tightened with each realization. Another gasp escaped his lips, and he could see it now, vividly: other faces, other choices. A mother in tears, a friend abandoned, dreams unfulfilled. I can't keep doing this. He shouted, the sound of his voice striking the tranquil surface like a stone. The shadows crawled closer, their mouths stretched wide in glee. You want to change? You want redemption? Face the boy you could have saved, they taunted, the energy surrounding him shifting, becoming suffocating once more. He felt the walls of his past collapsing around him. In the chaos, he thought he saw a door, adorned with intricate carvings, shimmering amid the shadows. It pulsed with warmth, calling to him. Was it the way out? Or another trap set by his own guilt? With his heart pounding, he kicked toward it, each stroke feeling heavier, each gasp more desperate. As he reached for the doorknob, his hand trembled. Would it open to freedom, or would it reveal another layer of pain? Don't give in, he whispered to himself, steeling his resolve. You've come too far. But as he grasped the knob, a flash of darkness whipped around him, fierce, pulling at his limbs. He could hear the tortured cries of his past mistakes echoing through the water. Open it. Something screamed from within him. You have to know. With trembling fingers, he turned the knob, feeling the chill seep into his bones. The door began to creak open, light spilling forth, illuminating the chaos surrounding him. And just like that, everything stopped. Silence settled heavily, wrapping around him like a shroud. Was there truth waiting beyond? Or was it just another facade, a cruel trick designed to unearth something darker? Breath held, he stepped through the threshold, questioning everything. What awaited him on the other side? Would he find salvation, or sink back into the depths of despair? This was just the beginning, but it was uncertain now, and the true test lay ahead. Light poured in, but it was not the warm glow he had hoped for. Instead, it shone with a harsh clarity, revealing a landscape twisted and warped, like an otherworldly realm stitched together from the fabric of his regret. He stood on the threshold, paralyzed. This place felt wrong, a distorted version of reality where familiar sounds morphed into sinister echoes. There were lamenting whispers, distant cries, droning murmurs that wheezed like an old man's last breath, wrapping around him like vines. Taking a hesitant step forward, he was struck by the sensation of something slipping through his fingers. The ground beneath him shifted between solid earth and a marshy bog, dragging at his feet as if trying to pull him back. He fought against the heaviness, every nerve screaming for him to retreat. Turn back, a voice hissed, low and unrelenting, cutting through the din of misery. You're not meant to be here. But he couldn't go back. Not now. With gritty determination, he pressed on, every step feeling like wading through mud. Shadows loomed around him, faceless figures creeping forward, their features morphing into the familiar outlines of those he had failed, each one a reflection of what he had lost, each face a reminder of a brief moment of kindness he had forsaken. Do you see them? The voice continued, insistent, like a tray of sharp daggers digging into his skin. Do you feel their pain? He couldn't deny it. As he moved deeper, the images flooded back, the cold stares in the hallways, the laughter that had turned to scorn, friends he had turned away, and family that had walked away. Each memory was sharper than the last, stabbing at tender wounds. An overwhelming dizziness surged through him as he fell to his knees. He could see the boy from lunch again, the one he had ignored. The same boy, but this time the tears streamed down his round cheeks, pooling in the dust beneath him. Help me, the boy whispered, his voice trembling like a fragile leaf in the wind. No! He roared, clutching his head as if he could force the weight of his past out of his mind. I can't. I want to relive this. With every scream, the shadows writhed closer, a torrent of darkness creeping along the periphery of his vision, hungry and relentless. Why did you leave us? A chorus of voices echoed, each one blending into the next, building momentum that filled the air with suffocating dread. Because I was scared. He shouted back, the admission clawing at his throat. I didn't know how to help scared? The voice mocked, laughter ringing hollow and empty, resonating in the cavern of his chest. That's no excuse, is it? The warmth of the door behind him flickered, growing dimmer like a fading flame. He felt the ground tremble, the shadows closing in, consuming his breath, pushing him to the brink. But a flicker of defiance ignited within. I can change, he gasped, forcing himself to rise to his feet. I want to be defined by these moments. With newfound energy, he turned to face the crowd of shadows. I'll learn to face the truth. As he shouted, the shadows recoiled, swirling and sputtering, their grip loosening. For the first time, he felt the pulse of courage, igniting within him a spark of hope, but just as he reached for that hope, it slipped away like sand through fingers. The darkness surged back, relentless. He gasped, the realization dawning. I'm not done, he whispered, a newfound clarity igniting deep within. Suddenly, a door appeared behind him, leading back to the light. Was this the way out? Or just another trap in the labyrinth of his mind? He stood at the crossroads, heart pounding, staring at the glimmering portal behind him. Would he find the answers he sought, or plunge deeper into the darkness within? The moment of decision loomed as the shadows loomed larger, their laughter returning, cruel and merciless. The door shimmered, almost taunting him. With every heartbeat, the shadow slithered closer, wrapping around his legs like a serpent. He could hear the whispers rise in a deafening crescendo, drowning out his thoughts. It felt like a physical weight, pressing down on him, stifling his breath. That he had to choose. Stay or go. Fight or flee. Coward. The voice from the shadows screeched, a primal sound stripped of human compassion. It echoed with a force that shook him to his core, vibrating through the very ground beneath him. You think running away will save you? No. He shouted back, trying to rally his defiance. I refuse to be afraid. But doubt crept in, a sneaky little shadow whispering that perhaps this was where he belonged. The faces in the crowd watched, blending into one another, shifting like smoke on a tempest. He could see the boy again, his eyes wide, searching. What if this journey led to more suffering? What if he really was meant to face this darkness forever? With a burst of ferocity, he lunged toward the door. His hand trembled as it reached out, the glint of possibility drawing him in, a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. Just as his fingers grazed the cool, smooth surface, the shadows recoiled with a screech, a chorus of anger and fear woven into their cries. No! Don't go! They pleaded, their voices laced with desperation, more human than monstrous now. A sudden chill shot through him, and for a moment, he hesitated. Was this escape truly an option, or was he running away from the truth? Help us! The boy cried, the purest anguish piercing through the haze, and it struck him with an unbearable weight. It was then he realized that the door might not be an escape. It could lead to another realm of pain, but a pain that perhaps he needed to confront. Why should I help you? He shouted at the phantoms, anger lifting him off the ground. You all left me behind. Because you have a chance to change, the voice spoke again, softer now, almost a breath. You can face what you fear. You can learn from it, and we can heal together. He dropped his head, the weight of exhaustion crashing over him. The darkness pulled him in tighter. But he had fought too hard to turn back. He could feel the flicker of hope igniting within him once more. That flicker lit a fire in his chest, pushing back against the despair. Let go of your past. Embrace the truth. He yelled, feeling a surge of energy course through him, a battle cry for his emerging strength. He seized the doorknob, twisted it with all his might, and flung the door open. Light exploded into the darkness, filling the air with warmth and clarity. The shadows screeched in protest, their forms beginning to break apart, dissolving in the face of his courage. Faces he had mourned began to sparkle with life, flickering like candle flames in the night. Thank you, the boy whispered, slowly fading into the brilliance of the doorway. Each step he took forward sent out ripples of light, illuminating the figures around him. Their masks fell away, revealing souls who had once been shadowed by his fear, but just as he thought he was stepping through, an icy hand clenched around his wrist, pulling him back. Leave now? After all we shared? The voice was rich with betrayal, swirling in a tempest. You won to escape that easily. It felt like the ground was breaking apart beneath him, and his heart raced with terror. The connection he had fought for was threatening to crumble, swept away by a tide of darkness. Would this newfound strength be enough to break free, or would he remain shackled by his past? The pull intensified, and dread pooled in his stomach as the door began to close. What awaited him on the other side? Would he face his fears or succumb to them once more? The air crackled with tension as he wrestled against the darkness. Every phantom clawed at him, a chorus of voices begging him to stay, each word dripping with pain. You can't leave us! They cried, their call sharp, unsettling. Panic surged within him, thrumming like a drumbeat, drowning out the clarity he had fought to find. But deep down, a fire sparked, roaring with undeniable strength. No! He bellowed, shaking off their grasp. You are not my chains, you are my lessons. I won't be shackled by your fears anymore. The shadows recoiled, their forms trembling as his spirit blazed brighter. Each shout tore through the air, splintering their hold on him like fragile glass. He could see the light beyond the door, now a bright, welcoming glow that consumed the whispers, suffocating their grip. Could he reach it? Make the choice. The voice urged from amongst the darkness, merging into 1,000 taunts, yet he refused to let the doubt creep in. With one final surge, he tore away from their grasps, his hand enveloping the door's handle like a lifeline. He twisted it, flung it wide, and plunged himself into the radiant light. Vibrant warmth enveloped him, cleansing every wound, every scar. The moment felt surreal, each breath lighter, infused with freedom he hadn't known he craved until now. As he stepped into this new dimension, the noise faded, replaced by a resounding silence that thrummed with possibility. The brightness transformed his surroundings into a lush landscape, vibrant with rich greens and deep blues, colors that seemed almost surreal after the oppressive darkness he had just escaped. He felt his heart race with exhilaration and fear interwoven. This was the realm he sought, the realm that promised truth and healing. Before him lay a shimmering lake, the same one, he realized, but this time reflecting the beauty of the world around him. He approached it, the surface smooth as glass. His reflection grinned back, a version of him that shimmered with hope. In that moment, he knew he had faced his darkness but had also given it power by letting it define his journey. Now, the tides of acceptance flowed inside him, shifting the landscape once more. No more running, he whispered to his reflection, feeling the weight of all the moments he once feared. And suddenly, they appeared, faces he thought lost to time. His mother smiled, vivid and full of love. The boy who had fallen beamed with forgiveness. Friends and mentors from his past gathered around him, their expressions warm and inviting. "You are free to choose your path," they said in unison, echoing across the lake like bells ringing through the air. Tears prickled at his eyes, the emotions flooding back all at once, filling the gaps of his spirit. "I'm sorry," he managed, choking on the words only to feel their warmth pull him deeper into this new reality. "I've hurt you, I've run from you." The figures stepped closer, their laughing faces contradicting their sorrow. "You've learned. And with every heartbeat, you have the chance to rewrite your story," his mother said, her voice the melody of comfort he so desperately needed. He stepped away from the stillness of the lake and embraced every single one of them, feeling the love wash over him in waves, forging a bond that reunited lost connections. Hope blossomed within him, healing the fractures of his soul. Yet, a distant reminder of the shadows lingered behind, echoing their invasive whispers. "You've chosen the light now, but will you nurture it? Will you carry it into your life?" A sense of responsibility pulsed in his chest, igniting a desire to reclaim his life in full, shadows included. "I will," he vowed, steady in his resolve. "I will carry the truth forward. I will help the boy I left behind, I will embrace my past, and I will transform my fears into strength." The figures dissolved into shadows, returning to the lake, not to claim his spirit, but to merge into his essence. He would not run from them again. They taught him resilience, acceptance, and love, not burdens, but gifts that now lived within him. As the sun sank into the horizon, a blaze of red and gold, he stood facing the open world ahead, a fresh start, a new chapter. It was now time to live with intention, to reconnect with those he had distanced himself from, and to share the lessons learned on his journey. His heart raced with possibility, and he felt it, life beyond the fears, one filled with purpose and direction. And so he stepped forward, ready to walk a path lined with the truth he had discovered. One step after another, empowered by love, he ventured into the world, leaving the echoes behind him, a testament to his journey into the light. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and fill the comments section with your reactions about this epic conclusion. Did you feel the freedom, the transformation? Got theories? We want to hear them all. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Let's spread the light together.